Narcissist Seduction, Episode 4. Wynne pulled off the main road. He was excited. He had relayed the location to Ashley, and she confirmed her agreement. Now, on this Monday, he had found himself distracted at work as he considered how the meeting would play out. He repeatedly checked his phone throughout the day, anxious to ensure that she had not changed her mind and cancelled. There was no such message. The only message that came was at 3:45 p.m, when she wrote that she was leaving the office. He did similar. His BMW 5 Series drove along the single-track road which led between the park and the golf course. The speed bumps necessitated him crawling along the road, as he wondered whether he would be there first. Trees lined either side of the road before they yielded, and a gravel car park stretched out to the left. The road continued straight on, a small collection of buildings, including a pub, on the right-hand side. Wynne looked across and saw her car, a bulky black BMW X5 with a personalized plate. It was a beast of a vehicle for a slip of a lady. There were no other cars in the car park, and nobody around. It was as he had hoped. He swung his car off the road, the tyres crunching on the gravel as he pulled up beside her. He pushed open his door, stepped out and closed the door, pressing the key fob and locking the vehicle. Purposefully, Wynne strode around the rear of her 4x4 and pulled open the driver's door. She turned and smiled as he leant into the car and embraced her. Ashley did not pull away as their mouths met. She raised a hand to the back of Wynne's head, pulling him onto her further. Her mouth yielded, and he gently jabbed his tongue inside her mouth, meeting her tongue as they continued to kiss. She arched her back, issuing a slight whimper of delight, as their mouths pressed harder together. Their lips moved in sync, tongues probing and flicking, savouring the excitement and delight of a new embrace, especially one that ought not to have been taking place. The seconds passed, and still their embrace went on. Wynne heard a slight crack, possibly the sound of her jaw as they kissed. She murmured again, her fingers sliding through his collar-length hair. He broke away from her and retreated, so that he was now stood up straight. "Well," she smiled, "that was certainly the way to say hello." "No point messing about," replied Wynne. "It's both what we want." "So confident," she said, but it wasn't a criticism, her eyes flaring with a combination of desire and mischief. "I thought we could go in there for a drink," said Wynne, indicating towards the pub. Ashley nodded and slid her legs out of the car. He caught a glance of a pair of elegant black-green shoes, a strange metallic sheen to them. Her slender legs were clad in tights, or rather, he suspected stockings, her defined calves leading to her knees, and then the slim thighs just showing from beneath the houndstooth grey dress that she wore. She stood on the gravel and twisted, reaching for her bag and pashmina, adjusting the latter about her shoulders. Wynne adjusted his jacket as he waited for her. He was eager to kiss her again after the delight that he experienced from that first embrace. Their mouths had locked together perfectly, finding an instant rhythm. It augured well. They walked into the pub to find it similarly empty like the car park. She sat on a sofa at one end of the bar, tucked away slightly, possibly conscious of being seen. He ordered the drinks and carried them across before sitting next to her on the sofa. She reached out and took hold of his tie, running a hand up and down it before smoothing it onto his chest. She let her hand linger there. "So," began Wynne, after taking a drink from his pint, "what's all this about, then? I just had to see you. I need to see more of you, answered Ashley. Why? I do. I want you. I always have. Really? Yes. I used to see you talking to your assistant at work and wished you were talking to me, she explained. Which one? I had several. Caroline. You fancied her, didn't you? I won't deny that she's an attractive lady, but too young for me. Plus I was her boss, and that wouldn't be clever. All your assistants fancied you. Said who? Oh, it was common knowledge. I suspect more of a case of exaggeration based on my younger days, smiled Wynne. She leant forward and kissed him again. After a few seconds, she broke off and glanced over his shoulder, checking that they were not being observed. It's okay, he said. We're the only ones in here. I deliberately chose somewhere that wouldn't be busy. It's a good choice. I hadn't thought of it, replied Ashley. There's just something about you, she continued, and rubbed her hand up and down his chest again. Is that so? He asked. Yes. I don't know what it is. I just feel that you and I have some kind of connection. I've always known it. I've just been too scared to act on it, especially after I got your messages and you didn't seem interested. I didn't write anything that could give you that impression, Ashley. Seriously, do you want to see them? I've got them on my phone. Wynne reached to a pocket. Ashley held up her hand and shook her head before planting another kiss on his cheek and then working her mouth around to his. The repeated whimpering flowed from her as they kissed. I always knew you'd be a good kisser. It's as if our mouths are made for one another, she remarked, after breaking away from him. You're pretty good yourself. Do you think so? Mm-hmm. Good. Do it again, then, she urged. Wynne complied. I can't believe we are here together. I've wanted this to happen for such a long time, she said, her eyes shining as she kept smiling, her gaze focused on Wynne the whole time, as if there was nothing else around them. Well, here we are. Yes, here we are. I'm so pleased you came. Well, I wanted to kiss you. Did you? God, how I've longed you to do that. I've always been drawn to you, Ian. Is that so? He asked. Yes. I think it's because you're just so brilliant at what you do. I've always been impressed how you built up your team and obtained such great results. Well, yes, they're a good team. They worked hard. It wasn't all down to me. Oh, you're just being modest. You brought them together. It was you that won the accounts for them to look after. You're brilliant. Well, I'm glad you think so. Others didn't always. Oh, that was just professional jealousy. We all saw the figures you delivered. You are a star. Always happy to receive a compliment, replied Wynne. It had been such a time since he had been paid such pleasantries, both professionally and in his personal life. He wasn't going to dissuade her from such compliments, but he still found her sudden protestations of affection towards him somewhat out of the blue. I'm just telling the truth. You really are marvellous on so many levels. Thank you. I have to ask, though, why are you doing this when you're married? Ashley paused. He doesn't pay me any attention. He paid you enough attention to get you pregnant not that long ago. Oh, that was a one-off. I thought it might change things. It hasn't. He thinks my clothes are painted on, you know. I don't want to talk about him anyway. Suit yourself, said Wynne. He tried to lean forward to take another drink, but she kissed him once again, her hands snaking about his neck, her mouth pressing urgently against his. He slipped a hand behind her back, allowing his fingers to run up and down her spine through her dress. She wriggled closer into him. Just as good a kisser as I imagined, she said as the embrace ended. You've already said that, Wynne answered. Have I? Sorry, I guess I'm just lost in this moment with you. I still cannot believe that I'm with you after all this time of waiting and hoping. It's been a lifetime, but it's so worth it, it really is. Well, I'm flattered to receive the attention of such a beautiful lady, replied Wynne. Her face broke into a wide smile, her green eyes seeming to ignite at the compliment. So, am I just another of Mr. Wynne's conquests? Have I conquered you? I must have missed that part. You know what I mean. No, I don't. You seem to have this image of me being something of the ladies' man. Well, you are. Not so. I haven't bothered with anyone since I separated. What, nobody? Well, there's been a few dates and the usual friends with benefits, you know the type of thing, he said, reaching for his drink. She arched an eyebrow at this comment. He drank his lager, taking 3 swallows, before replacing the pint glass on the table. But there has been nobody serious in over 3 years, he explained. I don't understand. Surely there must have been. You were quite the catch. Well, thank you, but honestly there hasn't. The first year I was dealing with the aftermath of separation, then dealing with the divorce, and then, after that, all of the crap at Novo Bank, which you know full well about. But surely you've had people after you. No, haven't been interested. I've had other matters to concentrate on. I was in bad shape after the turmoil of my marriage. Yes, I remember that first time, when I knew that you'd split up, when we spoke in the library at the office. I just wanted you to reach across the desk and kiss me, she said. Really? I never picked up on that. How could you not? I was dying to kiss you. Then why didn't you? Asked Wynne. I thought you might knock me back. I see. Would you have done? Questioned Ashley. No. She leant forward and kissed him again. They consumed their drinks and talked about inconsequential matters, breaking the conversation repeatedly to embrace. Wynne found that she showered him with compliments. He tried to respond to them as best as he could, returning them, which always caused Ashley to smile and touch him. He was not used to this level of attention. The scarring from his marriage was deep, and he really could not recall when he had been complimented so marvellously and so often. After a long kiss, Ashley finished her drink. I don't want to, but I have to go. I need to be back to take over from the helper. The helper? The nanny. She looks after Christopher for me, and she'll have collected Amelia from our after-school club. I didn't know you had a nanny, remarked Wynne. I have to. He's not going to help out, is he? She said scathingly. She rose from the sofa, and Wynne did so too. They emerged onto the car park once again, a slight breeze having picked up, threatening the chill of autumn. They walked to her car, and she climbed in. He leant in and kissed her once again, savouring the taste of her mouth, the warmth and the delicate caress of her tongue. They fitted together perfectly. He didn't want to stop kissing her, especially since her repeated noises of pleasure encouraged him. Eventually he broke off, and she gave a sigh of contentment. Go, go, she instructed, but it wasn't a harsh injunction, but said with a frivolous wave of the hand. One more, laughed Wynne, reaching in. She did not demur, and readily accepted his mouth once more. I have to go, she announced. Okay, bye. Besides, you're not the one having to sit in soaking knickers, she remarked, and suddenly pulled the door closed before starting the engine. Wynne grinned, and trotted back to his own vehicle. He watched in the rear-view mirror as she passed behind him. He reversed and then surged forward, gravel flying up behind him, as he sought to catch up with her car. He followed her away from the car park, back along the track through the woodland, until they reached the main road. He could see her silhouette elevated in the higher vehicle ahead, her bobbed hair standing out against the sunshine, which broke through the clouds. He continued behind her at the roundabout until they both joined the dual carriageway, heading south. Wynne felt excitement and desire still coursing through him as he drove until he reached his junction. He flashed his headlights, and she waved a hand in acknowledgement as he joined the slip road, and she vanished from sight. Arriving home, Wynne headed straight up the 2 flights of stairs to his bedroom. He found the experience of meeting Ashley invigorating and captivating. How he had not known about how she felt about him, and for so long. Was he that blind? It mattered little now, since something had begun. He wasn't entirely sure what it was, but he knew what he wanted more. Wynne sat on his bed. He felt an odd emptiness, as if he was missing her. It was a ridiculous feeling. They'd met once and admittedly spent a lot of the time kissing, but that was all it was. Yet he wanted to see her again. He wanted to speak with her. He hadn't experienced this sensation in, well, he couldn't recall. He removed his jacket and then his tie, deciding he would shower, and then check his emails when his phone chimed. It was Ashley. He opened the text message. Joe Bonamassa, prisoner, kiss, kiss. Wynne frowned. What did that mean? He prodded the keys on his phone. Who's that? Kiss, kiss. YouTube, listen. Kiss, kiss. Wynne grabbed for his laptop and flipped it open. He brought up YouTube and inserted the name. There were several entries, and he selected the first picture, which showed a whirlwind outside what looked like an old American Midwest farmstead. He pressed play, and a forlorn guitar began to play, with a slow beat accompanying it. He waited. This wasn't his type of music at all, far too slow, but he waited all the same until the lyrics began. I've never been wrong, but you're the only one I trust to show me the way. I always hear your voice, and in your dreams I hear you calling out my name. What is it about you? Some kind of light shines from your face, and I can't turn away. I'm like a prisoner, captured in your eyes. I've been taken. I've been hypnotized. Wynne lay back on the bed, listening to the slow rock ballad as the singer's plaintive words filled his bedroom. Was this how she felt about him? Was this her wonderful way of conveying her feelings for him? It was marvelous. Another tendril slithered across and began to wind around him.